Per viewer request, I'm going to show you how to make Kassler today. Let's talk about the meat first. Classic would be a bone-in pork loin roast. Those are hard to find in the US. Regular pork chops will be a good substitute. Kassler is wet brined, which is usually applied by using a syringe and injecting the brine into the meat. That speeds up the curing process so you can cut down on the curing time. However, you need a meat syringe kit like this one, and I doubt too many people have that at home. The advantage about pork chops like this, the curing time is only 2 days without injection curing or other tricks. Let's begin with the brine. This is a 10% brine. That's about 1/3 of a cup of table salt per quart of water. I'm using a nitrate curing salt. And of course, since this is a German recipe, this is the German concentration of curing salt, which is between 0.4 and 0.5%. Pink cure number 2, which you find in the US, is 6.25% of nitrates, which means you need a 12 to 13 to 1 ratio of salt to pink cure number 2 to end up with a 0.5% concentration. I would recommend using a scale for this simply because it's more precise than cups. Of course, if you do not want to use a nitrate curing salt, regular salt will do just fine for this recipe. The amounts are equal, so just follow the recipe and substitute the nitrate salt for a regular table salt. The meat will not retain its pink color and it will look a little bit more gray, but by the end of the day you can save yourself a lot of nitrate. There's a bunch of spices that go into this. Of course, recipe is down below as usual. You just need to grind those up in either a food processor or a spice mill, or you use a trusty pestle and mortar, which is what I'm going to use. It doesn't have to be perfectly ground, just break things up because you want to extract some flavor from this. I'm using a few of the spices already ground, so nothing to do here. Sugar and cure don't need any grinding either, so we're down to the juniper berries and the peppercorns, as well as the dried bay leaves, which I'm just going to crumble up a little. Toss them in there. And then just break it up. This is perfectly good enough. Now there's a couple of ways to do this. You can mix this all up cold and let it sit for a day or two. Not my preferred method. You can boil the brine for a few minutes, including the spices, and that will extract a nice flavor. I usually go the way of least resistance, so I'm just using boiling water and let it steep like a cup of tea. There is my measuring cup. I'm going to do a pint because I only cure a few chops. Put all the brine ingredients into your cup or pot and then fill it up with boiling water. Stir to combine and then simply set aside and wait until it's cool. While the brine cools, why don't you give this video a like since it really helps my channel. Don't forget to subscribe either so you don't miss another episode. Once the brine is cold, it's time to bring in the meat. I have 3 pork chops here. You need about 20 to 30% of the weight of meat in brine. So for example, if you have 2 pounds of meat, you need somewhere between 6 and 9 ounces of the brine. Grab a container and a zip top bag. Put the meat into the bag. Stir up your brine so that the solid parts are not on the bottom and add as much liquid as you need. Yeah, I'm going to go with a little bit more here. You want the liquid to cover everything, and of course the Ziploc bag will help. There we go. Now extract as much air as possible. Ideally you would use a vacuum sealer, but that doesn't really work well with liquids. So just try to squeeze out as much air as possible. And then quickly seal it up. There, that's not bad. The container is there in case that the plastic bag leaks. This goes into the fridge for 2 days and flip it over once or twice a day so to make sure that everything gets covered evenly. Of course, the magic of filming. I prepared a couple of them 2 days ago, so we can continue right away. These spent 2 days in the fridge. Let me quickly drain off the liquid in the sink. And then you rinse it off. I do this in a bowl because it's easier to demonstrate. You would of course do that in the sink under running water. You want spices, etc. off as much as possible. Of course, a little bit will always remain, but that's okay. You notice the nice red color. This is what you get for using nitrate. You won't get that with regular salt. Let's pat this dry. Dry meat takes smoke much better. Now this goes into a hot smoker at around 80 degrees Celsius, which is like 175 Fahrenheit. You first let it dry and then you smoke it until you have a core temperature of around 152 Fahrenheit, which is like 67 Celsius. That means the meat will be fully cooked in the end. I'm using my charcoal barbecue for this because it's small and easy to heat. Here's the setup. Small barbecue. Electric hot plate in the bottom. And I put a little bit of tin foil over it so drippings get caught. I'm going to put the meat on one side. And my cold smoke generator on the other side. I'm not igniting this yet. I let the meat come up to temperature and dry it off for about half an hour and then I light it up. Okay, things have dried off. Time to start the smoking.